First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
We want to promote what God says in His Word about marriage, which is marriage between one man and one woman.
A measure aimed at protecting clergy members from marrying same-sex couples in the next political battlegrounds in Florida. The core question, can churches and pastors be forced to get involved with same-sex marriages? That's our top story tonight. It's Thursday, October 8th. I'm James Torres.
And I'm Jenna Sands. Thanks for joining us. Some state lawmakers say the climate is threatening and it's time to protect pastors. Laura Barrera joins us now here in the studio.
This is a hot-button issue with both sides accusing the other of pushing a hidden agenda. Pastors traditionally pick and choose when they'll officiate a wedding, with the First Amendment to back them. The debate is whether anything more is needed, if freedom of religion or equal treatment should prevail.
Church and state collided yesterday in a Capitol hearing room.
They should know the only true God.
House Bill 43, known as the Pastor Protection Act, is supposed to be an extra layer of protection for clergy members who don't want to serve same-sex couples.
If a gay couple was just absolutely adamant that we're going to stay gay and you're going to marry us no matter what, you know, at some point I am going to have to say, I'm sorry, I can't do this. This is not what God's Word teaches.
Same-sex marriage became legal in Florida in January. Some fear churches will be targeted for access to facilities and for a minister to work the ceremony.
The bill is still advancing, but some experts believe that it's not even necessary because similar protections are already in place.
Some believe there is a hidden agenda associated with the bill.
It is an attempt to control and change and prevent LGBTQ families from having their civil rights, and that is not okay.
The Pastor Protection Act assures that churches will not have to provide services, accommodations, facilities, goods, or privileges if such services violate religious beliefs.
As a matter of law, there's no chance that they would be forced to provide these kinds of services because we're talking about religious services.
But some lawmakers aren't so sure, given recent court rulings and pending lawsuits. The House Civil Justice Subcommittee approved the bill on a 9-4 party line vote.
Several pastors from throughout Florida traveled to Tallahassee yesterday to speak in favor of the bill. One Marion County pastor pointed to the arguments before the Supreme Court over gay marriage. The Solicitor General was asked if requiring the states to adopt same-sex marriage could end up threatening the tax-exempt status of churches that don't go along. The answer was probably.
Laura, thank you. An apartment building in Gainesville is safe after a small fire. Gainesville fire rescue workers arrived at the Bartram Apartments on Archer Road last night after a fire alarm rang. Firefighters found smoke in an elevator shaft in the parking garage, then quickly discovered a fire in the engine room next to the elevator. Officials say a sprinkler system helped save the complex.
Most multifamily residential buildings, well, they are all now required to have sprinkler systems, but not all of them in the past were. But this was able to save a lot of dollar loss that could have been tremendous for the Bartram by confining it to that one room and that one sprinkler head going off.
The fire was quickly put out. A man was in the elevator during the fire, but thankfully was not injured. An anti-Islamic rally is scheduled to be held on Saturday at a local mosque in Ocala. Florida Gun Supply planned the rally in response to other rallies being held across the country. Officials with the Masjid Darul Islam Center of Ocala say they are aware of what's going on and are trying to determine the best way to handle the situation. The secretary for the center says they believe it's their duty to be welcoming to all the ralliers. Marion County Sheriff's deputies will be there to keep the peace if necessary.
We've been made aware of this protest, and we will have deputies there on scene to be able to monitor the situation, to provide security if needed. So we will be there at that gathering on Saturday just to make sure everybody stays safe.
Now, in order for Florida Gun Supply to protest, they do need a permit. So far, according to Growth Services Department, there is no permit on file.
The Florida Senate's official seal seems likely to change. A Confederate flag is among the flags in the design and now bringing some controversy. Citing the need to reflect modern values, a Senate committee voted today to remove the Confederate flag from the seal. A 2/3 majority vote of the full Florida Senate will be needed to complete the change. And it finally feels like we're getting into some fall weather.
That's right. We haven't seen very much rain. The weather's been feeling pretty comfortable. UF forecaster Rebecca Copeland joins us now from the Weather Center to let us know if we're going to dodge any other rain this evening, excuse me.
Well, we are seeing a little bit more moisture now. It's still been comfortable outside, but if you notice, there were a couple more clouds, and now there are a couple of showers on Storm Track radar. They're very, very small, though. Much of the activity is really falling apart, not really keeping its strength. There are a couple cells down in Marion County. Otherwise, you could just dodge a few downpours tonight. You can track them with us at ufweather.org/radar. So rain chances, just a slight chance for tonight through about 8 o'clock this evening. Then we'll start to cool down. Our temperatures are cooling down into the 70s. Not going to be quite as cool as last night, though. And because of this added moisture, there's the potential for some fog by morning. Now, much of the fog will likely start up close to 6 or 7 o'clock during your drive time, so you do want to take it slow on the roadways. Take some precautions. It burns off rather quickly, though, once the sun comes up. Your morning lows, once you step out the door, are going to be a little bit more mild, 67 degrees in Gainesville. Now, if you're wondering if the warm temperatures and the moisture is what's going to be sticking around for this weekend, I'll let you know coming up. Back to you.
Thanks, Rebecca. We've had coverage in the past 2 days of the North Florida Red Cross's presence in the Carolinas, helping victims of this weekend's floods. WUFT's Connor Ingalls visited a neighborhood in Charleston, South Carolina, affected by the disaster. This story of one woman captures the selfless mindset of the community during this crisis.
This was up here. It all became one.
Those were the conditions facing Charleston, South Carolina residents just a few days ago. Parts of the city experienced 3 feet of flooding, including Yvonne Broaddus' neighborhood.
It came down teeming, just torrential. You could hear battering everywhere.
The flooding isolated Broaddus in her house. Trapped, Broaddus was left to place all of her hope in the rain stopping. That is, until a gift from a man who couldn't be more fitting to deliver one.
The kindness of strangers. One of my neighbor's friends who plays Santa Claus every year started growing his beard, and I didn't know who he was. And I said, "Who is this guy?" And he says, "I'm Bubby's friend. He had this long beard." He says, "I'm getting ready for Santa Claus." He said, "Here, you can use a boat."
And an act that shows just how the community came together in the midst of disaster. Broaddus' first move was to make sure her friends were okay.
I took my boat to help my neighbor. I gave her some food and helped horses.
Of course, Broaddus wasn't the only one out to lend a hand to those in need. The American Red Cross was out in droves. Broaddus' neighborhood is one of many visited by the volunteers.
I said, "Well, Papa got a brand new bag. You're up here giving out stuff from the Red Cross." I said, "Do I have to pay?" He said, "No."
Broaddus' excited response was typical of those received by Red Cross volunteers.
You get to meet people in their worst. And they're happy to see you, and you get the good positive feedback, and it makes you be appreciative of that you're not going through that, but you can assist them with helping them.
Broaddus says she won't let the floods affect her anymore going forward.
I'm never going to be sad about tragedy because there's always a reason for it.
Connor Ingalls, WUFT News.
The rains have subsided throughout most of the state, with residents and volunteers moving into a state of recovery.
Investigators in Florida are holding out hope that an infant missing for almost a month will be found alive, but information from the arrest warrant for the child's parents is troubling. Michael Paluska reports.
Inside this Northport home, the arrest warrant states that small amounts of blood were located on pillows, the comforter, mattress, along with blood spatter on the wall and door of the bathroom. Investigators have not released any information about the blood results. They say Chance Walsh, just 9 weeks old, is missing, and they desperately want to find him. Chance's parents, Kristen Berry and Joseph Walsh, were last seen with Chance on September the 9th at the Orduna Drive home Sarasota deputies have been in and out of all week.
There was 8 cars here in the last 3 days. Forensic guys, they were divers, they were in the water back there.
Chance's grandparents tried to check on the infant twice, but became suspicious when the stories about where they were with the baby didn't add up. The warrant says that Berry asked her father for money in Harteville, South Carolina, after a car wreck, and then they said the baby was okay, but police said they found no child in the car. The warrant says Berry told her stepmother that she then gave the baby to a stranger because she didn't want to hurt him.
I feel bad for the baby.
Forensic investigators spent the past 2 days searching the home. Cadaver dogs picked up a scent, but investigators still have not found baby Chance.
Kristen Berry and Joseph Walsh are being held in a South Carolina jail on child neglect charges. They are expected to be extradited to Florida.
A new marijuana proposal looks to help the terminally ill ease their pain. The Florida bill would allow patients with terminally ill conditions who can now get experimental drugs to also try medical marijuana. A retired UF pharmacy expert says it's not clear if medical marijuana should be generally legalized, but what is clear is no one should die in pain.
Give them some modicum of pain relief on their last weeks to months on earth. And frankly, am I concerned about addiction? No, that's not an issue. Am I really concerned about safety? No, because sadly, their diagnosis is terminal.
The bill would expand the Right to Try Act passed in 2014. That law requires 2 doctors, including a second opinion from someone board certified in the appropriate specialty, to certify that the patient's diagnosis is terminal. And residents of one Central Florida neighborhood can rest easy because a missing king cobra snake has been found.
That's right. The deadly 8-foot-long snake had eluded animal control for more than a month. The king cobra, named Elvis, was found under a dryer at a home about a half-mile from where it went missing. The snake has been returned to its owner, who is now going to face criminal charges for failure to immediately report the escape. WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started. Coming up, a hero who stopped a terrorist attack is now in critical condition. We'll have the details on that coming up.
Plus, experts say your children's eye health could be at risk. Find out how you can help after the break.
A little bit more moisture in the atmosphere, but there's enough dry air to really combat that. I'll let you know what exactly that means for your weekend coming up after the break. Stay with us.
Ew.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. One of the Americans who helped stop a terror attack on a French commuter train in August is in the hospital tonight.
That's right. Police say Spencer Stone was stabbed several times last night during a confrontation outside of a Sacramento bar. Jay Gray has more.
Sacramento police are investigating an overnight attack on Spencer Stone, the Air Force airman who helped stop a suspected terror attack on board a French commuter train.
This incident is not related to terrorism in any way. And we do not believe in any way, we know it's not related to what occurred in France.
In August, the 23-year-old was honored as a hero in France and by President Obama after he tackled a gunman armed with an AK-47 on a train bound for Paris. He pinned the assailant using a chokehold as friends wrestled his gun away. Stone was injured in that melee, his thumb nearly severed. This surveillance video shows last night's altercation in a downtown entertainment district during the fight that spilled into the street where Stone was apparently stabbed several times.
He was stabbed more than once, and there are significant injuries to Mr. Stone.
A statement released by UC Davis Medical Center today says the family of Airman Spencer Stone appreciates the outpouring of love and support. Airman Stone is in serious condition. His injuries are not considered life-threatening. Police continue their search for suspects in the case. Jay Gray, NBC News.
Switching gears a little bit, in a political stunner today, California Republican Kevin McCarthy dropped out of the race for House Speaker. Last night, a bloc of about 40 of the most conservative Republicans in the U.S. House decided to block McCarthy by throwing their support to Florida's Dan Webster. Members of the Freedom Caucus said McCarthy is too closely tied to John Boehner, and today McCarthy said the House needs someone new at the top. Also in Washington, the White House made an announcement that will get people on their feet.
And since it's Thursday, WUFT's Lexus Cruz joins us with some health news. What's the latest?
James, Jenna, looks like Capitol Hill is making a change to get their blood flowing. But let's start with some research about vision development in children. And the reason doctors think that more kids are becoming nearsighted. Nowadays, we think a lot about avoiding sun exposure, but a couple of hours spent out in the sun each day could be important for the development of children. WFT's Allison Valdez spoke to eye doctors about the trends.
It's not uncommon to see children sitting in front of a TV, playing on an iPad or on a cell phone. But studies show that all the time spent indoors is impacting their eyesight. More research is pointing toward an outdoor effect, and doctors say getting the right amount of sunlight is crucial to healthy eye development.
When we're outside and we're exposed to the UVB, it causes our bodies to actually make vitamin D, and vitamin D helps with the smooth muscles around the eye. That may have an effect on the eye growth, so that may help with the nearsighted kids.
Children's eyes develop between the ages of 5 and 9. Experts say those who don't get enough sunlight during this critical time, especially kids who are predisposed to eye problems, are the most at risk. While kids are spending time indoors reading and doing homework, doctors are recommending kids spend at least 14 hours a week outdoors to promote healthy eye development. Parents generally understand it's healthy to get kids outdoors.
Just getting the exposure of, what a lot of us did when we were kids.
But it can be hard to make it daily routine.
It's hard sometimes to get our kids outside, so no, I don't think they're outside enough, but just because we're all so busy with life, it's important to take a step back and realize that, the next generation is important, and being outside, like I said, it's huge for developmental growth.
Allison Valdez, WUFT News.
Now when your kids are inside watching TV or playing video games, doctors want parents to be more involved. A study by the American Academy of Pediatrics is advising parents to try it themselves, then monitor and set limits. Some tips include playing games with your children, tracking their media use, and limiting your personal media use to set an example. Doctors still advise parents to have their children's eyes checked regularly, and many vision problems can be detected and treated early. At the White House, staffers are literally taking a stand for their healthier lifestyles. According to reports, the White House wants to spend $700,000 for standing desks. Research has repeatedly linked too much sitting with an increased risk for obesity, heart disease, and even early death. The cost of the standing desks would be spread over a 5-year spending plan. It may turn out that the cure for malaria was under our feet this whole time. Researchers at Portland State University may be on the verge of a breakthrough thanks to a special kind of bacteria found in dirt. Inspired by research from the 1960s that never worked out, Dr. Kevin Reynolds and his team decided to try it out for themselves. The current treatment for malaria includes multiple pills or injections, while Reynolds says this one will only take 1 pill.
1 pill is ideal for all of us, but particularly in the third world, particularly where you would want just to be able to give out a pill. It's a much simpler system.
Still a lot of work to be done before this pill is ready for human trials, but Dr. Reynolds says if all goes well, his new treatment could be saving lives in just 5 years. Poor practices at a flu shot clinic in New Jersey left dozens of people needing tests for hepatitis and HIV. Investigators say a nurse brought in to vaccinate workers at pharmaceutical company was just changing out the needle each time, but reusing the same syringe. The risk for infection is low, but officials are recommending 70 workers undergo testing for hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV. To add insult to injury, the nurse also got the dosing wrong, and those people also need another flu shot. I see you guys are sitting down. What would you think if you were doing the newscast standing up at a desk?
It'd be nice to get up and stretch the legs out every 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it at all. Thanks, Alexis.
Well, it looks like it's going to be getting a little cool for the next couple of days.
Yeah, but I'm hoping the fall weather will come back soon. Rebecca is going to tell us what to expect in our area this weekend. Rebecca?
Well, we've been feeling a little bit more humidity lately, and we are noticing there's a little bit more moisture because there are some clouds outside. And there's a few showers on storm track radar right now. They're very tiny, so if you get caught in any of these downpours, they'll be over rather quickly on in the afternoon or for this evening. And through the rest of the night, just a couple of brief downpours in the area, and otherwise tracking a little bit of fog that could be moving through.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. One of the Americans who helped stop a terror attack on a French commuter train in August is in the hospital tonight.
That's right. Police say Spencer Stone was stabbed.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. One of the Americans who helped stop a terror attack.
Temperatures 60 degrees.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. One of the Americans who helped stop a terror attack on a French commuter train in August is in the hospital tonight.
That's right. Police say Spencer Stone was stabbed several times last night during.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. One of the Americans who helped stop a terror attack on a French commuter train in August is in the hospital tonight.
That's right. Police say Spencer Stone was stabbed several times last night during a confrontation outside of a Sacramento bar. Jay Gray has more.
Sacramento police are investigating an overnight attack on Spencer Stone, the Air Force airman who helped stop a suspected terror attack on board a French commuter train.
This incident is not related to terrorism in any way.
You're watching
To the west, though, by the evening. For the rest of the week, tracking a front that's going to approach the area. So there is a slight chance for rain both Friday and Saturday, but you can even just see this. There's not a lot of moisture along this front here in North Florida. By the weekend, Saturday night into Sunday, dry air takes over pretty much the entire state. South Florida has not gotten a chance to dry out like this. So if you are going down south, going to be a nice weekend to do so. But if you're not staying in the state and you're maybe heading to Missouri to watch the Gators take on Mizzou, well, the nice weather will follow you there. There could be a few early showers on Friday. As you're heading up, you could run into a few of those showers because that's that same front that's going to be approaching the area. And temperatures are going to be a bit cool. They'll be even cooler at night. Could be in the 50s. So any Gator fans heading to Missouri, you may want to bring a jacket with you. The rest of the weekend, beautiful though. Temperatures in the 70s on Saturday, and on Sunday will be in the 80s. Right here in Gainesville, though, gonna be a beautiful weekend as well. On your Friday, to walk you through your day, warmer to start, some fog in the area. Clouds will be building, a few brief showers, mainly between 4 and 8 o'clock near I-75. For the rest of your week, well, we have that slight chance for rain on Saturday. Then we dry out, clear out, and cool down. Check this out. Sunday night to Monday morning, 59 degrees for your morning low, staying clear and cool the rest of next week. Back to you.
Rebecca, thank you. Well, Gator football is gearing up for a big SEC East battle this weekend.
Yeah, after that big win over Ole Miss, Florida should be really confident heading into Missouri. WUFT sports anchor Connor Ingalls joins us now.
And it's that confidence that has some Gator fans worried that they might overlook the Tigers. Head coach Jim McElwain gave his thoughts on that idea. We'll show you what he had to say coming up. That and more in sports after the break. To the surprise of many, except the most faithful Gators, of course, Florida football will head to Missouri this weekend undefeated with their SEC East foe Tigers awaiting them. Welcome back to sports. I'm Connor Ingalls. The Gators go into the contest coming off of their biggest win of the year over the third-ranked Ole Miss on Saturday. As a result, there's been some fear that Florida will overlook a Mizzou team that's 4-1 but has struggled all season. Head coach Jim McElwain says that's not really a concern of his.
You know, it's interesting when you go through this. You really never know. You know, you try to judge it through certain things. But I think there's one thing that really shows is just getting out of the locker room and getting to meetings. You know, there was a pretty good sense of urgency. That sounds silly, but what it tells me is they're looking forward to the opportunity. I don't think they're taking it lightly.
Urgency should be expected from the Gators. They've dropped 2 straight to the Tigers. Kickoff on Saturday is at 7:30. In football, the topic of discussion here in Gainesville, but don't forget Florida basketball is just around the corner. Less than a month away from opening exhibition play, Gators head coach Mike White says he's still uncertain what kind of team he has.
We're very capable. You wish that with 7 new guys and with Devon Walker having the sit-out year, you wish we were a little bit more experienced, and so we've got to, these 7 or 8 guys have to make a jump. You know, they have to make a jump in these next couple of months, and you know, 10 games in, we'll have a better idea of exactly what we have.
Tip-off for the Gators comes on November 5th in an exhibition against Palm Beach Atlantic in the O-Dome. There's some afternoon baseball today with a lot more meaning than usual. Game 1 of the ALDS between the Texas Rangers and Toronto Blue Jays is underway. Texas leads at 4-2 right now in the 6th. Robinson Chirinos hit a 2-run bomb in the top of the 5th to extend the Rangers' lead. Toronto's David Price is in line for the loss right now, which would drop him to 0-6 all-time in the playoffs. Later on tonight, ALDS action continues in Kansas City. The Royals will begin their run to defend the pennant against the Houston Astros. Colin McHugh will be on the bump for the Stros going against Yolando Ventura. First pitch in KC is at 7:37. And Thursday night football in the NFL pits the Indianapolis Colts against the Houston Texans. Earlier, it was announced that Andrew Luck would miss his 2nd straight game for the Colts. That means Matt Hasselbeck, the 40-year-old,
We'll get the start at QB. Hasselbeck got the win last Sunday to move Indy to 2-2, but he missed practice this week with an illness. Houston will be looking to shake off a rough start that has them at 1-3 on the season, but those 3 losses came against the Chiefs, Panthers, and Falcons, group of pretty good teams, so it's not like the sky's falling for the Texans. Tonight's AFC South battle kicks off at 8:25. And guys, we normally like to end the sports segment on a lighter note, but some news that deserves to be said today. Former Gator player and assistant coach Lindy Infante died today. Also very famous for winning NFL Coach of the Year in 1989.
Yeah, sad news indeed, but I'm sure the Gator Nation will remember him as a legend.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Connor. And if you enjoy fishing trips, boating gear, and nautical art, there's an auction for you.
All of those will be auctioned tonight to raise money to help protect Florida's marine life. The Gainesville chapter of the Coastal Conservation Association is holding its 25th annual banquet and auction. This is the first time they will host the event at Touchdown Terrace in the Gator Football Stadium.
And before we go, one last check on the weather.
Here's Rebecca.
There are just a couple of downpours out there right now. They're very tiny. There's still just a slight chance for rain tonight. If you get caught in any of those, you can track them with us at ufweather.org/radar. Temperatures tonight will be falling through the 70s in the mid-60s by morning. To start off your Friday, there could be a few areas of patchy fog, a bit warmer to start. Clouds will start to build, and a few brief showers will be possible, mainly between 4 and 8 o'clock. Another slight chance for rain on Saturday, clearing out, cooling down, a low 59 degrees Monday morning. Could be our first night this year in the 50s. Back to you.
Rebecca, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow at 5, but your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org.
And here on WUFT TV, BBC World News is up next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.